Man, yeah, just wear the beanie. That's it.
That's pretty solid. I feel good about that. That's a good way to start this. Get the attitude up high, you know.
Good trade 2 J's if you could become Wolverine.
Where are you getting all this information?
I definitely heard some rumors about it. Are you still going? I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's like you can hear them get.
Car, I was going to qualify and I was going to drive that out the racetrack.
Just threw the hood over the ditch and
Longest employee of knots.
You did some digging there, huh?
Look, we all enjoy wearing FD merch. I know I do. If I am not wearing a completely black outfit minus this hat that has about 100 different names for the color, teal, seafoam, whatever you want to call it. But when I'm not wearing this, what do I got on? FD merch, of course. So head over to shopfd.com, use the coupon code podcast24, just the numbers. Don't spell it all out. Save yourself 20%. So that is shopfd.com. Get yourself some awesome merch, maybe a skateboard deck, maybe can we bring bucket hats back? Let's do bucket hats. Everyone go get a bucket hat. And if you do, let me know. And let me know that you save 20% by using podcast24 at checkout. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and we got Mr. Larry Chen on today. Very special location as well. If you didn't know, we're actually in Jared Dienda's house. He's not here. We broke in. It's the only studio we could find. But yeah, he graciously lent us a massive tiki as a tripod. And we get this beautiful backdrop behind us, so something a little different.
Yeah, I wish you folks could see what we're looking at. It is actually a big tiki head that we're using as a tripod because we didn't think we were going to do this today.
No.
Yeah.
We talked about it. You know when you make plans with a friend, but then you're kind of like, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. This one happened.
So to give you some context, it's the day after Irwindale.
Yeah.
I am pretty worn down. Irwindale is always such a big staple event for us every single year. It's my home event. I only live 13 minutes away from this place, but it's where I started my drift journey. It's where I started photograph drifting, and just recently, I would say about 2 weeks ago, I drove it for the first time in my own drift car, which was like a real big full circle moment for me. And it's just been so crazy. Is
that like an emotional thing? Like, did you have a moment, or was it afterwards and reflection?
I really, really did, and it's something that a lot of people throw around pretty easily, but I would have to say it was one of the best days of my life. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And let me just explain to you guys how the day went. Okay, so I woke up, drove to the Peterson Museum. Okay, we did a charity event there, where I was releasing my most recent diecast. It's a diecast of my GR86. Okay, so we had two versions. One that was exclusive to the Peterson, and one that's just for mass sale. We sold 900 pieces.
Jesus.
And among other Mini GT, Kaido House, a bunch of other diecasts from the same company. Sold all of them, all the benefit, all the proceeds, everything went to the Peterson Museum because we love that place. You know, it's a special place for car culture in Los Angeles and Southern California, in general.
Yeah.
But we want to support that place. And 3 hours, we sold all this stuff. Okay, got in my car, drove to Irwindale. My team had my car ready, everything all ready to go, and I jumped in. Did a bunch of laps with the Flavor Express guys who hosted an event there.
Yep.
And it was actually called Nissan Fest that was going on. That was like the little festival they had. Drove, I don't know, bunch of laps, went through 8 tires. 13 minutes. Got out of my car, got in my daily driver, went home, and had dinner with my family. It was crazy.
Dang.
It was, I've just never experienced that in my life. And my normal day when it comes to me being behind the wheel is the full day, full weekend, or sometimes full week. Okay. So most of the other tracks for us are so far away. You know, Willow Springs, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Same for Apple Valley. Buttonwillow is 2.5, 3 hours away. It's your entire day just to get there and back. So having something so close and so near and dear to my heart and being able to experience it this way really changed the perspective on everything for me in terms of drifting, in terms of just getting behind the wheel. just game changer. Really.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, that's a definitely a full circle moment. I'm sure coming from seeing drifting for the first time, or even just picking up a camera for the first time, and then the career moving into basically an influencer role. There's not many people who hold a camera that fall into the influencer role as well. I mean, there's a handful, at least in my mind. But then to get to the point where now you're able to be a driving force behind charity and development and all that stuff, like that's reflection-wise, that's got to be kind of trippy to look back and be like, I was just somebody who liked taking photos to now Peterson Museum. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's not lost on me what I'm able to do, the people I'm able to meet, the friends I'm able to make friends with, the places I'm able to travel to, the cars that I'm able to drive. It's crazy. It's so insane, and I absolutely love it. And I was thinking, as you mentioned to me, hey, we got to do this podcast. I was thinking about the things that I need to bring up and the things I need to say. I mean, one big thing is really to thank Formula Drift, because I've said this to Ryan Sage, I've said this to Jim Lau, and to most of the people in Formula Drift. I've been very public about this. Formula Drift gave us a platform, gave us a home to practice our craft. And when I say our craft, it means it's like storytelling through video, through photojournalism, through vlogging, blogging, everything.
Yeah.
To create content. No other motorsport sanctioning body is this free.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't care where you're coming from. I've shot almost all of it.
Yeah.
And I've been, just getting to be able to experience FIA events, WRC. You have to jump through hoops just to be able to help them promote this event. But in all honesty, at that point, a lot of these events, they're like, we don't need your help. We don't need you to come and practice your craft and grow your brand and then grow our brand too. Whereas Formula Drift saw this gap, and they saw that we need these individuals to come out of the woodwork. Maybe they're not the best at what they're doing, but they can use this incredible vessel with the most amazing cars, the most amazing drivers, to just create this very entertaining, very inspirational content. And that's what I've been doing in among all of these other individuals that have stemmed their careers from following Formula Drift all these years. It's just incredible. Yeah, for me, I started following the series in 2006.
Okay.
And I just watched it grow up until this point where it has become something else. It's evolved so much, and it's just really cool to see.
It really has become a springboard for so many people and so many careers. I mean, we can talk about guys like Reese and Sam and Tanner and what they've been able to go on and accomplish and what their lives are like. Most recently, like Lorette doing stuff in F1. Selfishly on my end, going from somebody who was making YouTube videos to working with a team to at one point in time, managing drivers to the seat that I'm in now. And there's such an amazing support system within FD and the different staff that works within it to allow that to happen. And there's structure in place that allows that to happen. As you said, there is no other motorsport that's this free and open, with things like publication rights, with things like distribution, with things with like being able to just produce content without review of the series. Just that alone is massive. Like, people don't realize in Formula One, for example, you can't film on track.
No.
You have the paddock and what's back there. That is it. You are not allowed to film. You can take photos on track, but even that is incredibly limiting. There's creators I follow in that. I don't know if you follow Kim Ailman at all. He's done a great job as promoting what the photography life is like, and he shows like this is what I get to work with.
Yeah.
But because of the way that FD is now, it allows us to document and tell stories in ways that no other motorsport can.
I have to say, from me starting all the way back then as somebody that was just in the trenches alongside all the other photographers, not much has changed.
No,
really.
I know.
I mean, the access is unparalleled. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The fact that you can go up to the tippy top drivers to just the drivers that are just starting to whomever. You can create your own story, and if your skill and your talent and your drive to succeed and to stand out, if it's truly there, then it will stand out. It's too easy to create incredible content at FD, and that's just what I love about it. And it's for me now, what it's become is a place for our generation of car culture enthusiasts, because you could just be the casual drift fan, you could be somebody who's really into car culture, show cars, low and slow, whatever, low regs. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just such a great gathering place for all car fans. And that's just what I see more and more. When I go through the paddock, when I go through the parking lot, when I see people, during halftime or in the stands, it's something else. It really is amazing. And I know, especially, it's like reaffirms it every single time, even just yesterday at Irwindale finals. It's hard for me to keep producing content from FD because we're so busy with everything that we do, and I try my best to, post videos, post stills, do car features or feature some of the new drift builds, but it's become, of course, less and less of what I do because we do so much, and people are still coming up to me, telling me that they follow this work, they follow where I'm going. It just blows me away because these are the people that are watching our stuff, and they're there live, and you can have this one-on-one interaction with them. And it really is incredible that it's just a great gathering place for all these people.
Yeah, it is. It's such a cool environment for so many different types of car culture, and same thing even with content creation. The term content creation has gone so far now and has gone into all these different worlds, and there's so many different paths that you can take in it. You had talked about kind of getting noticed and creating your own style of the craft. What are you seeing within that trend that's getting you really excited, and what's something that you think we're overlooking when it comes to the development of content creation?
I'm very excited seeing what the drivers and teams are doing to support FD. FD is just, again, a place for everyone to gather, but it's just so cool to see what they're doing in their overall program. It's so great that they're able to do other things too in the car culture world, in the car culture realm, and it's really up to them to provide excellent content and provide value for their sponsors and for their fans too. Like I just think it's great that it's not just about results.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you've talked to so many of these drivers about this, about them creating value from just all the stuff that they do in addition to FD.
Yeah.
Because, even the best drivers potentially could have a really tough weekend and they have a tough result. And it's not just about that. If you're not on the podium all the time or sometimes ever, you can still be successful by having this great following.
Yeah, some of the most successful, even financially, drivers are not necessarily the ones that are performing the best.
Yeah.
So they use the facility and the event as the marketing tool, not the results. And you can do either or.
Yeah, and it's
both.
It really is a great way for those who truly want to, depending on where you're going or depending on if you're like that crazy of a fan that you would want to even travel to see this individual in person, it gives you that opportunity. I love that. Like, for example, a good example is LZ.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to see him drive or if you want to meet him in person, you got to go to an FD event.
Yeah.
Or you got to go to one of his events, but it's just like this staple thing that you can count on, you can rely on. You know, it's a great family event, and it's just, it really is something to look forward to.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think we're forgetting right now when it comes to content creation? What's something that maybe either as a team or a media creator or a media person or just somebody who's interested in creating content, what's something that's getting overlooked day to day?
That is a good question. I don't know. I mean, the beauty of it is, I think the appetite for interesting stuff to watch is so big now, and there's just so many eyes to consume this stuff, and so many people that want to see Formula Drift drivers, Formula Drift builders, the cars, just everything surrounding this series. I just feel like we can't create this stuff fast enough.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and part of it is because, especially when I was growing up, it was really hard for us to find stuff that we really liked, that we really loved, and something that we could relate to and something we can enjoy. Like, we couldn't find enough of it.
Yeah.
You know, most of the stuff that drift related was coming from Japan. You know, watching Best Motoring, watching Hot Version, watching option videos. It was still so limited. A lot of it wasn't English subtitled or translated, and B, we just couldn't physically get this stuff. And it was, at one point, you could just run out of drift content.
Yeah.
Like, you could
you'd
just
have to rewatch the same DVDs
as much
over
as
and
you
over.
wanted to know more about this culture. That was it. That was all that was in existence. And even to the point, once the internet, when you were able to get this stuff with torrenting or whatever sharing at the time, there was a point where you downloaded all of the stuff on the internet, you know, and maybe that dates myself, but now it's unlimited, and it's wonderful. It's great because this is another thing that I always like to talk about. There's enough car nerds out there.
Yeah, I agree.
To that actually even understand what some of these people are saying. You know, I consider myself somebody that surrounds myself with cars and car culture. I just don't know that much, really, you know, because there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
I dabble in a little bit of everything. You know, I've been very lucky to have worked with Hot Rod Magazine, with Triple Zero Magazine, with Porsches, and with Speed Hunters for so many years, you know, shooting all different types of cars and like drag racing and this, that, and all these disciplines. But I'm just kind of like a tourist from the outside,
Okay.
you know? But
Interesting.
now these fans, it's amazing how much they know.
Yeah.
Like they know the difference of whatever, this turbo versus this, and this guy's running this piston here and there. Oh my God, that's way over my head. But the fact that these people can talk about it in this depth and they can still stay interested and they want to know more, that's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Our access to information has meant that we have a better consumer in a lot of regards. I mean, there's some negatives that come with it as well. When you have that much information, it can be very overwhelming. But I do agree that anything you want to know now about any of these drivers, and it's not just FD, but kind of across the board, that information is out there. You just have to know where to look. And often we're so inundated with all of the content as well that it becomes difficult to choose. And I mean, from my perspective, I wish everybody who watched FD also followed every driver and subscribed to every driver on YouTube. Like, people don't realize some of these drivers that you watch that maybe you don't know that well, they probably have a YouTube series you've never seen before, and you can fall in love with that driver just by getting into their content.
Yeah.
And it's just the want to explore. Like, I would love to see people just want to explore more about the behind the scenes, because it does exist, as you said. And then once you're there, you'll want more of that content. That driver won't be able to make it fast enough again. So
yeah, and it really is interesting for me to even think back on what the series has done in terms of satisfying the appetite for content
Yeah.
with the whole live stream, and now of course like this type of content. I mean, when I started, social media wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, you could publish photos a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a month after, and nobody even batted an eye. They just don't know
That's
that
when
this
it would
thing
come
is
out,
happening.
right?
Yeah.
It would. You'd have to wait for it to be published in a magazine.
Exactly.
So you may not even know how that event went until a month later.
Exactly, because for the longest time, for many, many years, you have to remember Formula Drift was on TV as something that had voiceover from Jared and Ryan Sage way after the fact, months after the fact. The results already came out.
Yeah.
But these people are getting exposed to this for the first time on TV.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to think that now.
That content is great, by the way.
Yeah.
Like going back and like realizing that they had to voice over this a month after the event is amazing.
Right. And it's also crazy to watch back at what they called tandem before.
Right.
Which was rough when one car is not even transitioned yet and one car is like like this.
And Jared's like, look how close they are.
Right.
Yeah,
Look how close they are. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And then at one point, if you look back at Formula Drift, or even D1, I remember before, you could straighten out a couple times.
Yeah.
And you potentially could still win. You know?
We've come so far.
Yeah, we've come so far as a sport, and it's just great to see.
Can you explain to me how getting locked inside of an airport terminal changed your career forever?
I wouldn't say change my career forever,
do.
but it was just
the amount
a fun...
of people that discovered you because of you being you on camera. I mean,
that was a weird one. So I think it was 2011. We were coming back from Formula Drift Palm Beach, which was a round that hasn't existed for many, many years, and we were doing a layover. Or no, we weren't. Yeah, we were doing a layover in Dallas-Fort Worth, DFW to LA, but for whatever reason there was some thunderstorm or whatever, and we missed our connecting flight, and we're stuck for overnight. And some people were able to get flights out. We were in the back of the plane, so we just couldn't get in line in time to get a flight out. So American Airlines at the time, they didn't offer anything. They didn't offer
no vouchers, no food,
hotel,
nothing.
whatever. Yeah. So then being somebody that was just still getting into the series, really trying to make a buck and trying to get by, I said, there's no way I'm spending money on a hotel room. Even if it was $100, I was like, I'm saving that $100. I'm just gonna ride it through. And my buddy Joe Ayala was with me, and we had all our camera gear with us. So we're like, you know what? We should just shoot something fun, and we should use this opportunity to create some content. And we shot a video overnight. We spent all night on it.
I know.
Like shot by shot.
Yeah.
We didn't have that much gear with us. I mean, we had all our gear, but we didn't have like lights or tripods or anything. So we just like propped stuff on. I had like some mounts that I used to mount on the cars. So I would use those for like onboard.
Some super
mounts.
clamps and stuff like that.
Some
Yeah,
clamps. Yeah. And man, that was so much fun. We didn't sleep a wink. We spent all night throughout the entire airport, just not even wreaking havoc. Like nobody stopped us.
No, you really didn't do anything
anytime.
all that. I mean, there was one thing you did that you shouldn't have, but other than that,
But the crazy thing is, I didn't even break into anything. You know, I
it's all
just
there.
literally walked in.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, not much has changed. I fly through DFW now, and it's the same.
Yeah.
But after the fact, the story is that we uploaded it to Vimeo and also YouTube, and we were thinking like, all right, cool, this is a fun project. And a couple days later, it hit 1 million views, and we're like, uh-oh, this is getting big. Mm-hmm. And then the airport reached out to us, and luckily the CEO was stoked on it. For whatever reason, he was like a film guy.
Okay.
He appreciated like what we went through to make it. And a lot of people may not know this, but they invited us back and they hired us to do their next campaign for their new terminal, which is the American Airlines Terminal A. And yeah, we shot all the campaign stuff for them, video, and we acted in it. And there was legitimately this one moment where I flew through DFW because I fly American Airlines.
Okay.
And
I'm a Delta boy.
Yeah.
I know there's some, yeah.
I live in LA, so I have to
fair
fly
enough,
American.
Yeah. Okay.
I was transiting through DFW again. This time I didn't get stuck, but I was on the tram that runs the perimeter through all the terminals, and I was standing next to a poster where it was me and Joe. Like in the tram, and I was thinking, like, please, I hope nobody notices that I'm literally standing next to myself. But it was, I think it was something where it was like touting all the healthy options or not. It was me, and I have this picture with a stack of ribs that are just like this high, held together by toothpicks. And Joe just had like this small side salad. And it's like, yeah, healthy, new Terminal A, healthy options or not.
Or not.
You know, and we
It's a
did
very
a
Texas
bunch.
thing to do, yeah.
We did a bunch of those campaigns for months.
Yeah.
We were flying back into DFW. It was so weird because we would fly in to shoot, but we were flying in to the airport where that we were shooting at and we were shooting for. It was so weird, but that was a fun thing that I wouldn't say put me on the map, but it was just a fun exercise. I kind of already had an idea that it would do well because of what it was.
Yeah.
It got played on Good Morning America, and I was at Formula Drift, New Jersey when it got played.
Oh, really?
On Good Morning America. So I turned on the TV, and Joe and I were on TV. It was so weird.
I mean, I guess the reason why I look at that as a pinnacle moment of your career. I mean, we could really go back and find all of those moments. Obviously, Speed Hunters did quite a lot. Things you've done with FD, some of the amazing shots at a Pikes Peak, everything with Hoonigan. Like, I mean, I'm not just going to sit here and list off all the accreditations, but for me, that's something that is such a soul of a creator, as a content creator, where you are put into a situation that's not great with minimal gear and just an idea and a will to do something fun in a really shit situation. And I've often found, at least with any of my content career or the people I've looked up to the most, that is when the true essence of somebody who creates things comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that we take to heart. It's something that I think about all the time. You know, when we're in this position, working for these manufacturers, working for these teams, sometimes things just don't go right. Actually, a lot
Most
of times.
of the time, yeah.
Most of the times. Cars are such finicky things, right? They just work when they want to work. They have a soul. And sometimes they don't want to work. And you can ask pretty much anybody on the FD grid, you know, that's their same experience. It's something that you just have to pivot. And on the creative side, I'm always thinking, okay, so this didn't work. Or we just like shape our entire plan or day or what we do around what we think is possible for the content side, right? We always try to get some kind of safety shot first in case
the car breaks or
or whatever, or there's always these precautions that we take because we've just had the experience before. And it just goes across the board without a doubt. Like you fully understand that.
Yeah, I mean, even like in this situation, right? I mean, like realistically, we're in a house full of people, but my immediate thought is somebody who's just obsessed with audio now, coming from video, but obsessed with audio now. And I'm like, man, it'd be great if it was just like quiet and everything else. And then part of me is also like the ambiance that's going to come out of this. Yeah. You know, I don't know how much my sound guy will take out of the back, but I'll tell him leave some of it in because like it makes this feel more like a conversation. And that's realistically what makes a great podcast is a bunch of people hanging out, shooting the shit and being able to connect. So you take a situation that's not ideal, you know, being stuck in an airport, you turn it around and create something fun with it. And that, just often creates some of the coolest content because I had a friend who came down from Canada this week, and I brought him down. He's a young photographer that's just really trying to like cut his teeth. And I was like, come out, shoot. We'll get everything set up for you. And he's showing me photos from the first day. I'm like, hey, these are all great. Like they're exposed properly. They're centered. Nice little shutter drag on it, whatever. And he's like, yeah, what do you think? And I'm like, if you really want to be noticed, I need you to stop doing everything you're doing right now. I need
to
you.
be extraordinary.
Yeah, I need you to. He's like, well, like, what do you mean? I'm like, take one rule of photography and throw it out the window and do the exact opposite of what you should do. I look at guys like Yogi who deliberately underexpose.
Yeah.
And it is incredible, right? Walters, who shutter drags way longer than anybody else should. And it doesn't even make sense. But it's not photography now, and it's art. And that is the separation, is breaking rules.
Yeah, I get asked this question all the time. Who inspires me? You know, they think I'm going to name some big name photographers or historic photographers. I name the people that are right next to me.
Yeah.
You know, the people that are shooting with me, the people that are sweating, bleeding,
Yeah.
you know,
A few times, yeah.
suffering with me. And I appreciate what they're able to create.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate their skill because I've also been very public and very candid about the fact that I know that my skill limitation is there in terms of, like, creatively, I may not be as good as the next guy or this guy or whatever. But what I do have is drive, and I am able to put in potentially 2, 3, 4 more times the amount of effort in to at least achieve that same skill level.
Yeah.
I see those. You see those guys too.
Dude.
You see their skill
Yeah.
and the amount of time that they have to put in to get the same amount of shots and the limited gear that they have to get the same amount of shots.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Still blows me away to this day. Like you mentioned a couple of names. I look at their stuff and I'm like, I was next to you. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Why does it not look like that?
Yeah.
For me. But and I literally have every single Canon gear, piece of gear in my gear bag to my disposal to shape the light how I want to.
Yeah.
But I can't get that. But guess what? If I go a day earlier or if I stay later and everyone's gone and I'm the only one there, maybe I'll see something that this other person didn't see.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of like me looking back after all these years, you know, at one point I did count how many Fun Drift events I've been to.
Okay.
Like your buddy, was he worn out after this one
He was
event?
beat, man.
When I encounter somebody like that, not to put him down or anything, but I tell him like, look, think about the fact that I've done 125 of these or something. You know?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's at now because I stopped counting. Once we hit the FD 100 in New Jersey a couple years back at Wall, I just stopped counting. I was like, I just can't count anymore. There's just so many, you know, and then including the ones that we went to in Asia, in Australia. I was like, in Japan, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop counting. Maybe it's about 125. Maybe it's more. I don't know. It's probably more.
It's probably more. Yeah, we're probably close to 150 at this point.
Yeah. But it's a lot. And I think every single time I'm there, I'm pushing hard to do the best I can to create something special. And, you know, that's what it takes, the dedication to like you said, create something different, create something that stands out. And I've just been so lucky to be able to bring all of you guys along for this journey.
Yeah, a lot of it is reps and perseverance. I mean, I've been asked similar things, be like, oh, how did you get this job? I'm like, everybody else gave up before I did. Because, like, there are people who are probably better on the mic than I am. There are people who are better podcasters. There's people who are just better at everything that I think I'm good at. 100% there are people who are better. Most of those people have already given up. And that is often, or you know, maybe not even just given up, but didn't start again. Because, like, I gave up podcasting. I gave up doing all these different things from time to time. But it's getting back into it and keep pushing. It's just so hard sometimes, but I don't know, just in your mind, you just be like, there is no other choice. This is what I'm doing. So I'm sure you've gone through similar times and, you know, dark times, doubting times. You're like, what am I doing? Like, why am I still doing this thing?
Can I just bring up a point that I don't know if somebody else has brought up this point in all these episodes, but one thing that the public doesn't see, and I know this show is starting to I guess, be more open about the series, about what the drivers are doing.
Yeah.
Specifically the series, I feel like there's so much more that's put out in the public, in the realm, just in the drift world,
Yeah.
showing people that the people in the series care.
Yeah.
I think what people don't realize is how much the people in the series actually do care.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They, like, and some drivers even, and team people, and people that are in the industry, or just random fans, a lot of people, I hear people think like, okay, all right, FD guys, the core group of guys, or the people that are staff, or the people that own FD, and, you know, Ryan and Jim before, they're just like raking in the cash, and then like weekend's over, let's just freaking toss back a couple drinks and just relax and not talk about FD until the next round.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude.
That is
Complete
so
opposite.
Every waking moment, it's like one of those things where you cannot, like, if these individuals are in a room, they're not talking about anything else but drifting.
Yeah.
And that's all they think about, and it's all they care about. All they want to do is improve the series, make it the best series, and make it the best entertainment for car nerds like us. It's amazing how much effort they put into it. It's ridiculous. It's so much. And I didn't understand that until I started traveling with FD, getting closer to the series, going to Asia. I didn't understand how important it was until I was in it, you know? And it really is eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like how much... It's nothing is not looked at, you know.
Yeah.
Every aspect of the series is looked at through and through. Everything is so important. I mean, it's hard to make everybody happy.
You never can.
You never can.
Yeah.
But man, they try.
Yeah.
It's insane how much they try. Like I just think. I mean, you see the comments in the chat.
I try not to, but I do. Yeah.
And
hurts.
even the drivers.
Yeah.
Like, who do they really think? It was just Von Gibb Jr.
Yeah.
just saying bye.
Yeah.
It's kind of a FD after party today. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
gosh, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hi, my name is Jared Deanna. I'm the voice of Former Madrid.
Here we go.
I've heard of this guy before, Jake. Yeah,
No idea.
thanks for talking to me.
Hey, you guys should just come in and say hi real quick.
There you
Hey,
go. All right.
we got Chelsea
I'll see you
DeNova
soon.
here.
You guys coming out tonight?
This is what I mean. Like,
Podcast or what?
Yeah, I don't know
podcast,
yet.
the FD podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, backlit. Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah.
I've exposed for it, hopefully.
Yeah.
The backlit pod.
This is what I mean. Like,
Yeah, we're at Jared's house. It's after the event. And
After
we've
the
got competitors, ex-drivers, team owners,
judges.
judges, everybody. Yeah, it's not like the judges and the drivers don't get along. Reese is here. I mean, yeah.
It's insane how much effort, and I see it firsthand, and I get upset when I
Yeah.
hear how like the people assume that they just don't care,
Yeah.
but they care extra and then some.
Yeah. They care more than you know.
Yeah,
Is the best way
so
to put it.
much.
Yeah.
and that's what I appreciate so much. I love being part of this family so much. I love being a part of the community, and it's my home.
Yeah. Are you looking for awesome FD merch? Maybe even your own hats? I don't know. I know it's warm right now, but it's not always going to be. You can head over to shopfd.com, use podcast24 at checkout, save yourself 20%. Yes, you can save 20% on one of these bad boys. I'm not going to lie. It's not the best in hot weather, but it's actually not that bad. Wicks away some sweat, super high quality. Absolutely love the way that these turned out. So if you want to support me, head over to shopfd.com, use that podcast24, save 20%, grab yourself a hat. What's the struggle been like going from being boots on the ground to more of the overall business management side of it? Because like you, Larry Chen, the human being, can only be in so many places and only shoot so many cars at once. Larry Chen, the businessman, can be in a lot of other places. You can have teams of different groups. How has that, I guess, either helped or hurt your love for the actual craft of photography?
There's so many things that I would love to let go, but I just can't let go.
Right.
I just can't. I mean, as a photographer for somebody who wants to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera, I was never meant to be in front of the camera.
You do a good job in front of the camera.
I
though.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I tried so hard. I really did. I was very quiet as a kid. I was very introverted. I was very reserved. And over time, I've just kind of developed, okay, well, this is what I need to do if I want to keep doing what I love to do.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do to tell the story correctly, right? Because we're always constantly having to evolve, you know, as great as blogs were and like web articles and all that stuff and even magazines. Videos where it's at. You know, it's just a different way to tell the story. Yeah, it's the easiest way to consume this stuff. So definitely had to evolve to that. I am shooting a lot less now because I'm having to be in front of the camera. But I still have these things that I hold on to, right? So there's still things that I need to shoot, that I love to shoot.
Okay.
Right? So Irwindale, for me, it's something that I absolutely love shooting, love the track. Now I love driving the track. But it's a place where it's a place where I've shot my entire shooting career, and I'm still finding new angles.
Yeah.
I'm still finding new ways the light is interacting with the cars. The cars are obviously pushed to a different limit now. There's just so much that makes it special, you know, and I love shooting there. But unfortunately for me, I'm just finding that it's just way less time of me actually having the camera in my hand over the years. And you know, that's just kind of natural. That's just how it goes. Luckily, I have an incredible team that really helps me. They edit my video. They edit a lot of my stills. I still, most of the time, get pretty good final say in terms of how the stills come out because another thing, this is something I can't let go, you know? Maybe they'll take it 90% of the way. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm just so color sensitive that I look at my stuff. I'm like, man, these colors just don't match. You know, I say that because I want it to represent what it looked like in my eyes at the time. I try my best, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a fake sun there or some fake. Oh, my God.
Vaughn getting just does a burn.
No, is that Vaughn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was Vaughn.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
Sorry, Jared. That's going to take years to get out. You guys could probably see the tire smoke wafting.
They're all just big kids.
Yeah.
Look at this man. He's exposed perfectly.
Yeah,
I know.
he's good. Too bad I can't do an all-wheel drive donut.
Yeah.
But
I got a rental. We'll figure something out.
But yeah, it's something that I'm just dealing with. You know, on the social side, I still do all my social.
Good.
I still cut all my social. I respond to all my DMs because that one-on-one interaction is so important to me. And also, who knows? That's maybe where my next gig comes from. You know, these people trying to reach out to get good work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still want it to be personal because, like, at the end of the day, and as weird as it becomes, and it's something I'm really struggling with right now is the brand that is me and what I do and all that stuff, and trying not to. I don't ever want to be unauthentic, right? I never want to be known for being somebody that I'm not. But I also understand that there's like, you kind of have to add 10%, right? You take who you are, and like me on the mic is very similar to how I am. I get very enthused and very obsessed with things and loud and analytical with it. But I have to add like 10%. And social media can be very much the same. That your social media is still you. There's going to be you're going to highlight it.
It is me through and through, and people don't even understand it. People don't. They're like, "Oh my God, that's crazy! There's so many DMs. How do you handle it?" I'm like, "Well, it's literally my life, you know."
Yeah.
Same. I'm going to bring up LZ again. He does his own social.
He does
too, you know, because it is him.
Yeah.
It is a representation of him, and it's his way to connect with his fans directly. And let me give you a good example in terms of like me letting go and and just the way things are going in terms of me actually shooting stills for many, many years. Wow, now I'm really smelling the tire smell.
Yeah,
it's like we just never
sort
left
of back of the
Irwindale.
track. Yeah, and you know it's it's Nitto's. Like, can you identify the tires by the smell?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's certain tires that smell different. There's certain compounds that have like almost a bitter taste.
Do you have
and a sweeter smell?
Do you have favorites over the years? Because like this is something of the media people. There's certain things that you experience being in media drifting. It is being hit by flying rubber constantly. Fuel
it's
and
so
tire.
crazy. So like we're very good at the driver numbers.
Yeah.
When we hear a number, we know the driver. Or now, or after many years of shooting, I immediately know what car it is
based on sound.
Yeah, or at least what team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the three Mustangs, the 3 RTR Mustangs, they sound the same.
Yeah.
But you could tell right away, boom, that's a Mustang,
Yeah.
or that's a this, or that's a, you know. There's a couple cars where it's like, I'm not sure what it is, but it could be a variety of cars.
It's usually like an LS or something.
It's so interesting though, but like you can tell Hurst, like that's his car for sure.
Off the line.
You know, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And one thing I want to talk about also real quick in terms of drifting, there's no other motorsport that has this kind of variety of cars.
Yeah.
That's this unlimited. I love the fact that it's unlimited power plant. After all these years, still, you can make 3,000 horsepower if you want to. Yeah. But you can have an electric motor if you want to. Mm-hmm. But, run what you run, whatever you can make work. You're limited by tire.
Yep.
And you're limited by just mechanical sympathy and all that stuff. I think that's so cool. They're being pushed so hard now beyond the limit of what these physical properties of this material can take. It's getting to that point.
Yeah, we are.
And that's really, really neat. And you can still have a backyard build, and you can still somewhat be competitive. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, you can. I mean, a Robert Thorne, a Jeff Jones, a Jonathan Hurst. I mean, those are all kind of home
even
built
like
cars.
Rome's car.
Yeah, even Rome. Yeah, great example. Which
with a great driver,
Connor Shanahan driving that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's wild.
Incredible.
It's wild. Sorry, I cut you off there on the
yeah.
so
Just this quick, just to give you guys an idea. For many, many, many years, when I was shooting, I would always choose. These are my best 100 photos overall, everything except for drifting. And then I would choose out of every year.
Right.
Then I would choose 100 photos out of the year, but they're all related to drifting. So it's 100 of everything, 100 of drifting. And then at one point when I was shooting a lot of rallycross, it was 100, 100, 100. It was 300 from the year. And let me tell you, man, it was hard to narrow it down to 300.
Really?
Freaking hard. Okay, because I was shooting so much.
Yeah.
And when I say shooting so much, people ask me, well, how much are you shooting?
Yeah, how many shutters?
Well, at one point, it was maybe 1,500 to 2,000 a day.
A day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Because one Irwindale weekend is whatever. It could be 10, 15, 20,000. And then maybe I'll take 3 days break or 4 days break. And then I'll do another event or do another event. Mm-hmm. I was shooting every day.
Yeah.
Every single day. I pick up a car feature, 750 photos. I pick up 2 car features, double that. This, that, it's just, I was just shooting.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to narrow down 300 best photos of the year. That's basically almost one, a little less than one a day.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped shooting as much rally and rallycross, I was like, okay, back down to 100 best and then 100 best of drift. And it went on for many years until just a couple years ago, I think maybe 2 years ago or last year, where it was even hard for me to choose 100 of everything. I was like struggling there. I was like, oh man, here's everything I shot in the entire year. Everything, including drift. And I'm struggling to choose 100 that I'm super proud of. When I'm saying
the
best,
need to fill up 100.
It needs to be like like really stay on your wall.
You would print these.
Print them. Some things that I'm so proud of that I can show that this is a good representation of my quality of work. With that said, I did do an hour-long video chronicling all the videos that we shot. And me in front of camera and the stories that I told. And oh my God, that was insane. You know, that was like
It's new. It's different.
200 days of shooting.
Yeah.
You know, of, okay, here's this car that we featured that was cool. Here's this collection that we featured that was cool. Here's this. And at the same time, when I'm there doing it, unfortunately, I wasn't able to shoot stills. You know, but I was still able to create this content and tell the story.
It's different.
So yeah, that's just how the landscape is now.
But that's the evolution, right? If you keep doing what you've always done, you keep getting what you've always gotten, and you've evolved from a person who is shooting photos for magazines and for publications and everything else to you are a business owner and personality that happens to shoot photos. And that's the difference. And, you know, there's always going to be a struggle with that because you never want to give up where you came from, but sometimes you need to let go of some of it to allow yourself to become what you need to be. Yeah. And it's not an easy decision, and it's not often a decision that happens immediately, but usually you get to a point where you realized you've evolved all this time, and it's just that moment. It sounds like that moment was you're like, I don't have 100.
Yeah.
Right. Years ago I had 300 and now I don't have 100, but you have X amount of staff more. You build X amount of dollars more. You're sitting there with a room full of cameras where you're like, 16-year-old me would be crying right now with what I'm sitting in front of.
100%.
Yeah. And but like that is how you need to frame it and focus it to keep moving forward. And eventually, hopefully, you get to a point where the company runs itself and it comes full circle again where you're like, I can shoot in my own company now because I don't have to spend time managing it. It runs itself and I can get back to what I love again.
That would be awesome. I
mean, it'll happen.
Yeah. There's nothing like being on the ground shooting. It's just it's a different way to enjoy motorsports and car culture. It's just different. It's not better or worse.
It's just different.
It's just something that I enjoy. You know, I feel alive when I'm doing it. The only thing that rivals it for me is actually being in the car.
Right.
Being on the other side.
You've been able to blend that together now, which is incredible. I mean, the rig, the way the rig looks now, and I mean,
so
even
ignorant.
From day one with the two, you had like 1DXs on the front of it before, right?
So it even started with like the most basic, I think probably the first Canon DSLR that was able to shoot video. We used the 5D Mark II.
Oh, classic.
Absolute
classic.
I think 2012.
Yeah, about that.
2012. We used it was it 2012? I don't know. No.
I'm a Lumix guy, so for me, my Canon history, I know.
It was early.
Yeah.
On my 1970 240Z, it was already SR swapped. We used 5D Mark II, and it was great. Like it was insane. It was something that I was assuming that would work.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And I filmed this thing with Matt Powers. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I know Matt Powers. Yeah,
Matt Powers.
Great race suit.
Yeah, he with a bow tie.
Yep.
He did a 360 at Horse Thief Mile, and it was just so smooth and it was so cool because he was inspired by Samuel Hubinet to do 360s, and now everyone on the grid can do 360s.
Yeah.
And so he did this thing where he's like enters Horse Thief Mile downhill, does a 360 into a perfect drift, and that at the time broke the drifting internet.
I do remember that.
Early drifting internet. It had well over 5 million views when I stopped looking, and it was something where, and it wasn't even like, there wasn't really like social media in that way, right? I don't think you could even post videos on Instagram.
I don't think so. It was just photos.
Yeah, it was just photos, and it was something where it was on YouTube, but it was only like a 20-second clip or something. But that changed the game for me. I was like, oh my God, I got to do this. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
I got to develop this thing. And since then, we've just been developing it. Now my Mark V A90 Toyota Supra is, in my opinion, the ultimate drift camera car because it can film at speed. I mean, these guys are going fast.
Yeah.
Especially, we just came from Laguna Seca where the guys are entering at 125, 130, 135 miles an hour. And then you have Kaufman that goes way beyond that, 145 miles per hour.
Psycho.
Where he literally deadpan said to us, "I don't think these body parts are meant for this speed."
I mean, he's pretty deadpan in general, but like,
I mean,
he's
145. I looked at my speedometer trying to follow these guys at one point, and it hit 130, and it kept climbing, and we still had some straightaway to go.
That was on the
and I was
front
like,
straight.
Yeah, and I was like, this is too fast.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Heck, I entered with Dylan Hughes at over 125 miles per hour into the corkscrew. You know?
Mm.
I just glanced down and I just glanced up and I was like, we just got to do this thing. We just do it, you know?
Yeah, front brakes, here we go.
He literally went as fast as he could. From turn 5, turn 6, he's like, I'm using all the track. I'm going full throttle, and I'm just going for it and not letting off. And I have to do my best to keep up. I tried, man.
And he's going sideways.
He's so fast.
Yeah.
All of the horsepowers. I mean, these guys are just so skilled. I can only really appreciate it now, having been behind the wheel for a couple of years.
From behind the lens, this is a great segue, is just how have you seen drifting develop from behind the lens part of it, man? Because like, really, when you started, as you said, the separation was huge. I mean, you know, we're able to shoot tighter now. The lens options change because of what you drift with.
Wheel speed,
yeah,
has completely changed, right? Tire wear, the fact that everybody just gets 2 laps on one set of tires, that wasn't a thing before.
No,
you know, there was one point when I could shoot backs of cars.
Oh, interesting.
You could see the trunk, you could see the license plate, you could see even the kind of wheel that they're running. That's not a thing anymore.
No.
The only time you can see a back of a car now when they're drifting, a pro drift car and even a pro spec drift car, is when it's raining.
Yeah.
And and they're not making any tire smoke.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like still too much water to even see, you know. But there was one point when you could see that, and then there was still a lot of glass on the cars.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know, 20% of the cars now have glass on them. Most of them are
polarizers were more crucial at that point.
Mounting cameras.
Oh, right.
Stability of these cameras. Like,
can't do it with Lexan.
No, onboard cameras now, man, you have to do so much to make sure you get stable footage. Before, these cars were basically street cars, and they would just be whisper quiet, very low vibration, and they would just be so silky smooth out there, not violent at all, right? And I could mount one camera and shoot the other car. Can't do that anymore. It will shake a DSLR or SLR or a mirrorless camera to its bones. There would be nothing left. It would just shake apart.
Yeah.
And you could at one point shoot forward even and not get smoked out.
Yeah.
Right? But that's just not the case anymore. You could shoot or you could shoot backwards. Sorry.
Yeah.
You could mount something on somebody's back window.
Yeah.
And you could rely on them to not make enough tire smoke to see the car in the back.
You could catch a transition.
But that's not the case anymore.
That's weird.
These folks make so much tire smoke, but that's also changed the way the cars look, right? That's also changed the shape of this car because the smoke has become an extension of the car, and it's just like something so different. It's legitimate clouds that they're creating now.
Yeah.
Versus before, it was just like, okay, if you take a picture of a car and you freeze the action, it might be that the car is sitting there and there's some smoke coming out. Maybe it's on fire, maybe it's not. But now it's like, oh my God, the entire back half of the car is gone. And also the entire scene is covered by these gigantic clouds of smoke. It's just so different. And the angle, before so many vehicles were running near stock angle, modified stock knuckles, modified angle. Sometimes I remember so many years where a lot of these cars were making all this power on stock transmissions.
Right.
Sometimes just stock e-brake, which is crazy.
Yeah.
If you think about it in Formula Drift. And it was so mind-bendingly insane, like a big leap forward when Daigo came on board,
Yeah.
right? That he changed the game so much because we looked at this car during tech and we're like, how does this run? It's missing everything.
Yeah.
And it barely has brake rotors at all.
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah,
had
'cause
these
they were tiny. Yeah.
They were tiny and they were jagged.
Yeah.
Like a chainsaw. It was insane. We're like,
Yeah.
A, how does this stop? And B, where's the wiring? Or what makes this run? And then it turned out to be such a killer race or drift car that it just destroyed everybody.
Changed everything.
Yeah, changed the game.
People,
But,
people forget what that moment was like.
yeah.
It was drifting was changed forever the moment that car showed up.
Yeah, I mean, so many years there was a time when you could get away with 400 horsepower, 500 horsepower.
Not after that.
Nope.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
It's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah, it really is. It's visually, a lot of people say that they've become uglier, but I don't think so. I mean, I think a drift car has evolved into its own thing now.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a street car that is raised or lowered or whatever. It's so wild of a machine. Like it can't really be repurposed for anything else. At one point, Stefan Verde had a drift car and also Reese Millen that they repurposed for other things, right? So like Stefan, he used it for rallycross. Like he had his Subaru winning Hawkeye drift car that when it came time to do X Games rallycross, he just put the front diff back on, changed the tires, changed the suspension, and went.
Yep.
Got whatever, bronze or silver. And then the next drift event, I think he won Formula Drift Sonoma.
Okay.
There was a crazy timeline with that. And then you have somebody like Reese Millen, who in his 2012 winning Hyundai Genesis Coupe at Formula Drift, I think he won FD Vegas and he won one other round. He got the overall Pikes Peak record overall, period.
Yeah.
Fastest vehicle ever up
Yeah.
Pikes Peak with his drift car. Just
Crazy.
just changed the suspension, just changed the brakes, tires, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I think added a wing.
Yeah. Some downforce.
I feel like you can't really do that with the drift cars now.
No, I mean, I feel like you could. There's probably a couple that you could probably go to the drag strip and run 9s.
Yeah,
maybe
but-
maybe even into the 8s at this point.
Yeah.
Like some of the cars.
Yeah. I mean, these cars now are designed, wide spab, and so many other components are designed to fail.
Yeah.
To give way, for it to be
subframes or body.
easier
Yeah.
to repair.
Yeah.
And just the functionality of things, it's just different. It's amazing. It really is incredible. It's amazing to see. I mean, you see the abuse that these take. You guys, if
Look
you
at
guys
this past
watched
weekend.
Irwindale, oh my
Jeez.
God. There's nothing left. There's worn down to a little nub.
No, Odie.
You know?
I mean, Odie, Turk, Dylan Hughes at one point, Jonathan Hurst, Federico, Vaughn.
It's like these cars are just held together by tape.
Yeah. Hopes and dreams.
Yeah,
man.
hopes and dreams. It's absolutely insane. And yeah, it's really cool to see how the sport has evolved and how the drivers have evolved too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To wrap things up, I don't want to hold you too much longer. I'll lead into it a little bit because it might take some thinking. It's a tough question to answer, but in 20 years time, in 30 years time, when we look back on FD, when we look back on everything we're doing today, and obviously your role in it, how do you hope or expect to be perceived and tied to what I'm hoping is the legacy of this sport, is the legacy of Formula Drift? What do you want people to say or think when they go, hey, do you remember Larry Chen back 30 years ago or 50 years, 100 years ago, whatever?
That's
I know
a
it's
tough one.
It's tough because you're very humble. You're incredibly humble. So I know it can be difficult to try and push yourself up
I mean,
a bit.
I think for me, it's great that now we're very fortunate to be able to work with all of these manufacturers very closely to show off these cars, to launch these cars. a lot of times when the general public gets to see a vehicle for the first time, it's through our pictures. And that is such a big honor for me, because it's like, okay, well, it's their design, but it's up to me to capture this design and this shape, and in my way, in my world, to hopefully sell this thing and hopefully get people to fall in love with this thing enough to buy it, right? And I kind of take the same approach with FD, in that I'm very proud of the fact that I'm able to show the world how FD looks through my lens. Because it sounds really bad, but if it's a bunch of photographers that just don't know what they're doing and they're not able to represent the series in the best light and show it with its beauty, then I don't think it's doing justice to this series. I don't think it's doing justice to Formula Drift. So that's one of the big reasons why we like to push so hard when we're photographing this series for historical purposes. Because even now, people are seeing the photos that I took 20 years ago, and this was a representation of what the cars were like, the people were like, all these young faces. And it's like, I did my job correctly. I documented it for historical purposes, and that's what I'm doing now for future generations. I'm documenting it for future generations to look back, but also the current generation, for them to see, like, wow, yeah, it is that good looking in person. It is that crazy. It's that dramatic, and it's that incredible. I love involving my partners, specifically Canon, a lot in my drifting journey. I love so much to show the folks at Canon like what I do and why I do it, and put them, in the trenches with me to show them, like, look, this is what I'm doing, and these are the people that are using your cameras to capture this thing, and they care, and they really, really, really do care about this, and it's so personal, and it's just they get it, they understand it. It's so weird, because I'm the only person on their entire team that takes pictures of cars. Every one of the Canon photographers, they are experts, and they are world class leaders in their own space, right? Whether it be wedding, like surf photography, baseball, basketball, this, that, and other, everything, conflict, photojournalism, portraits, and then I'm the car nerd here,
Yeah.
But it relates. It's relatable, because it's just this thing that we love so much, and I'm just trying to make it as beautiful as possible, and just they understand it. That's why I've launched a bunch of these cameras for them, and I use drifting as the subject matter,
Which is super cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, photography and videography, and just what you've done, what everybody in the trenches do, comes with a massive amount of weight that isn't always recognized, and that is that you are pausing time for every generation to see thereafter. And every shutter, every click, every record, everything is how it will be forever. And it's such a massive weight that I don't think people recognize enough.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who are listening and watching, and you guys want to try it too, Formula Drift is also the only series that I know of that allows for normal people, anyone that walks off the street who buys a ticket, to shoot with people like me and my guys. We run like a photo experience at Formula Drift for Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
It depending on like how much time we have. It could be an
Prospect
hour.
weekend.
An hour to 2 hours of shooting. This past weekend, I took a bunch of individuals out on track for 2 hours, and a lot of them couldn't last the whole 2 hours. It's like a lot.
It's a lot.
It's rough.
It is rough.
So, but if that's something that tickles your fancy and that's something that interests you, it's definitely something to look into.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people started with the photo experience now. Now we've done it for a couple of years. This was actually Jim Lau, former president and co-founder of Formula Drift. This was his idea.
Oh, really?
And, I took it and ran with it. And we've been doing this for many years now. And now a lot of the people that I had in the experience are right next to me in the trenches.
That's cool.
With purpose, working for media outlets, working for teams, working for brands. It's really incredible that just something that small can blossom into something that they can do for work. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's something that they care about. And I urge you guys, if you're really interested, it's worth it. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the closest to the cars possible. You could get hit by the cars.
There was a, I mean, when we had that big contact with Odie, it was like my first concern. I saw the replay and I was like, look at the media. I'm like, I got a lot of friends at that wall right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is hairy. You got to stay on your toes. So.
Yeah, you do. You got to look around.
So, yeah, it is something that just doesn't exist anywhere else. I've been shooting for so long, I haven't seen anything like it.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Sick. Before we wrap, anything you want to tell anybody about any projects, anything you want to plug or chat about before we wrap up?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, just search Larry Chen. If you want to see a lot of photos that I've shot over the years for free, all in high res, my website is larrychenphoto.com. If you want to purchase prints that I print out myself and I sign, you can go to larrychenprints.com. And I print, package, ship everything myself. It's my baby. It's something that I'm very, I take near and dear to my heart because it's something that's physical that I can give to you guys that you can be proud of to put on your wall. But it's something that I also put a lot of effort into creating. Mm-hmm. So, it's something that I love to do. And, there's a bunch of my prints here in Jared's house. So,
seen a few of them kicking around. It's pretty cool.
If you guys want to support what we do, then check that out. Cool. But otherwise, hope to see you guys at Formula Drift.
Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it from the FDE family, from my perspective as somebody who, very much looked up to you before I ever even got into the media pit. This, for me, is a very full circle moment because a lot of inspiration there in what you did before I ever got a chance to get in the media pit. And you probably don't remember, but I appreciate all of your hospitality. When I did start in media, I had a couple of very rookie questions looking back at it now, and you were always very patient and very like, oh, what about this? And there's one moment in particular in Atlanta where we were shooting next to each other, and you actually like looked at me and you're like, hey, and took my shoulders and just shifted me a little bit, and you're like, look at it like this. And it was just a aha moment. It was just a very, very small thing. We were shooting the same thing, and you're just like, no, look here. And it was so.
You're probably like, what a weirdo.
No, I did, because I already knew who you were. So it was like kind of cool. Admittedly, I was like, oh, Larry's shooting over there. Like, it's got to be a good shot. So I like moved over, and then I was kind of shooting something, and you're like, hey, I see what you're like. I don't know. It was weird. It was just a moment where you're like, I see what you're trying to get, and you shifted me that little bit, put a new perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I really, really care about. Just sharing this passion and teaching photography, and it's just so satisfying, I guess, to get other people into this thing that you love. I really can't stand the people that just kind of like, no, this is mine. No, you can't. It's all for me. I want everybody to get the best photos, because if you get something that is very inspiring to me, to everybody, I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, how did you get that? Yeah. I got to figure that out. I got to step my game up. Yeah. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. Drives you to get better. So
for sure.
Sick. Well, for everybody listening and watching at home, thank you so much. We'll drop all of Larry's links down in the captions below, and catch everybody next week. Thanks again, man.
Awesome.